Jack.
All right, so
Come on.
I know from talks that I've had with Keith about his racing history that he basically was just knocking on doors trying to get sponsors, and one of those was Wheeler's Auto.
Yeah.
So before that, was your dad and or your family involved in racing at all?
So a lot of it started at Riverside Park.
Okay, yeah.
So,
yeah, do tell.
Jim Regan, who used to help out Diego a little bit, it was actually what got my father into the racing deal.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so when he was probably about 15 or 16 years old, he snuck him into the park over there, and he was like, he got bit by the bug, like any one of us, you know.
Right.
And from there, he stemmed over to actually working with the Shark, Greco.
Really?
Yeah. So he actually used to work at the machine shop in West Haven. He worked there for a lot of years with my uncle, and then would just help George out with the street stock and the mod. And
wow.
yeah, it spiraled from there.
So he was Billy Greco's nephew, right? Is that right? George, you're talking about George Greco Jr., right?
Yeah, George Jr.
Yeah.
I think the relationship with them, I'm not really too...
I think George Sr. and Billy Greco were brothers, I think. Right. Yeah, okay. So how old were you when your dad hooked up with Keith?
I'd say I was about 5 or 6.
Wow, okay.
Maybe a
How
little
old are
bit
you now,
older.
by the way?
I'm 23.
So we're going back to the late 2000s when they hooked up? Is that about right?
So I started coming around Stafford, I'd say probably 07, 08 when he was with the Poolins.
Oh, okay,
yeah. My father, that's when it initially started because he came looking for tire money, and my father was like, yeah, sure. I mean, I'll definitely be willing to help you out. And I think my uncle kind of set that up because he was actually working at Pettit's with Keith at the time. So
got it.
My uncle kind of like gave him the path, like, you know, go ask my brother. You know, he's got the shop down there. He'd probably be willing to do something, you know.
Yeah.
And then from there, it just I'd say the pooling gig was right about at the end of that. So like 08, 09 when that switchover was going to happen. So my father had actually, you know, built the car and all that, and they were coined up to do the deal like in 09, I think. And then he did another year at Poolins, and then my father just went all out, bought brand new Troyer car, trailer, the whole deal. And
so during all that, are you in the shop? Like,
so when I was younger, I would always, you know, kind of beg my father to like take me around this stuff because it was like, you know, that was my playground.
Yeah, when you're a kid, it's fascinating. Yeah, right.
Well, that was just kind of my playground. Like I didn't like that was normal for me. Not like you know, I did, you know, the baseball, the soccer, and all that stuff, but nothing really like took it off like racing did.
Yeah,
so like
right.
Whenever I got a chance to go like with my father to the shop, so before that it was actually it was actually next door to Keith's grandfather's house. He worked out of that little garage. So when they would work on Payne's car over there, I'd go over there a little bit, but then they actually got another shop in Wallingford, and that's where my father's stuff was. So that's where, you know, I'd go there, you know, every so often, whenever I could, whenever he'd let me at least.
Right.
Because, I mean, when he'd going over there, it's like from when he gets out of work until like 9, 10 o'clock at night. So, like, obviously my mother's not going to let that happen a lot.
Right.
But yeah, when that really transitioned over is when I actually started racing more on the Monday night stuff. So like when I got a little bit older, I started getting like to 11, 12, 13 years old. That's when I really started to get to allow to go more. And then from when I actually started racing street stocks was when I was like pretty much the most involved, when I actually like started going more and more often, because obviously now I'm in it.
Yeah.
And I'm racing there on Fridays. So like we'd work on our stuff. And then, you know, if I had to go to Keith's house when they just built that new shop, I'd go over there and help out my father too. So I was like kind of helping Keith on the SK, and then at the same time we're getting our gig going too.
Right.
So
just real quick, what do you work at the family business? Like you work at Wheelers? Yeah. Are you a mechanic?
Yep.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So you are hands-on from the beginning, then, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I never like the thing is, like with me, like I always wanted to be hands-on with anything that, you know, was going on. Like it kind of drove my father crazy because I was, you know, how many questions in a row can you ask? That was me when I was a kid. I couldn't stop asking questions because I was like curious about everything.
Yeah.
And it drove my father nuts. But like at the end of the day, like
you're learning.
I'm learning.
Right.
You know, and I was putting my hands on the stuff too. So like over time, I just kind of like gained more knowledge than anything because, you know, my father wasn't the type of person to kind of show you how to do something. He kind of like gave it to you, let you try and figure out. and watch you do it. And
Yeah.
if he seen you weren't doing it right, he'd kind of take the tools out of your hand, and I'd watch him visually do it, and that would kind of like how I'd learn.
Yeah.
You know, I actually had to learn a lot more by myself, I think, sometimes, because like just the way me and my father work, it's like it's fire and water at times.
Yeah, I heard about this.
There's some times we're in that shop and, you know, the wrenches start flying and, you know, the veins are popping out of our neck, and, you know, we'll be like that for like a couple of days, and then
I think that's part of the Italian DNA. I think we all have that a little bit.
200%.
Yeah, right.
200%.
Yeah.
And I'm immune to it now, but like, you know, Stashi coming into the shop this year, seeing this for the first time, we had a couple of blowouts. Nothing over major, just like, you know, general discussion on how we should attack the car the next week. And my father, as soon as we have one bad night, it's like, you know, we're throwing fucking lead around the place. This is getting changed. That's getting changed. It got pretty bad. And he's like, you guys are like this every week? I was like, no, this is normal. When it really gets bad is when we leave.
Talk to me about the streeter days. Did you like racing those things?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. And honestly, like, I learned more in a street stock than I could have ever learned in a modified, just like pure like racecraft, where to put the car, how to finesse it, and just like drive it, you know, like when you're out there, like you're bar to bar, not bar to bar, you're door to door, you're smashing off each other. Like, I mean, even with the streeters, I like the first thing I noticed is how easy it is to spin someone out. Like,
you got to have great car control in that division.
Yeah. And I mean, like right away, I found like I poured Nicole Chambrella. I feel so bad for like the first night we went out and raced. I think I spun her out twice in the same feature, and Chucky Santarski pulled me down pit road, pulled down the window net, and he's like, "Listen, kid, you got a fast car, but you gotta take it easy. You gotta slow it down. You got a fast car." And old Chuck, man, he'd chew your ear out. He'd scream at you a little bit, but he only did it because he wanted you to be better.
Right.
So, no, that was fun. That really taught me a lot of like how to race and like how to be around somebody on a big track. Like,
yeah.
Did you mainly just do that at Stafford?
It's tough because I think I remember going to Waterford at least one time.
Yeah.
That's when I still like we bought that from Nate Appel, I think it was. Nate Appel, I think.
He had streeters for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was a green car. It was green 01 on the door.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah, that was
for sure.
Nate's old car. And I remember when we actually got that thing, it actually smelled like manure when we got it. It was pretty bad. But I remember just bringing it back to Wheelers, and we pulled the body off it, stripped it, cleaned it, painted it, just did the whole deal. It was awesome.
How well did you? How much success did you have?
I'm just looking up. He's got 2 wins.
2.
Yeah, I think
Both
we had
in
2 wins.
2015.
And on my rookie year, that was probably my best year. And then from there, like, that might have been right around when Bear and it actually was when Teddy died. That's when I just started or was just getting into SK lights, and then I think I was racing SKs at Thompson. So we took one of Keith's old SKs and converted it to an SK light. We went to Thompson with it, ran a couple races there, and this was all during 2016. So that was just while I'm racing the streeter too. So I was like getting my feet wet in the mod at the same time. I'm also still racing the streeter. And I think we had a down year that year. We were kind of running like crap. We couldn't really figure the car out. We had to put a snout on it that year, so we just kind of chalked it up to that. And then after that, we just kind of like, as bad as we were struggling with the streeter, we were actually going pretty good with the SK8 at Thompson. So it was like, might as well give it a shot at Stafford. So we weren't doing anything, so might as well. And then first race out, get a win. Are you kidding me?
Did you really?
Yeah, the street stock was sold the following week, and we went full-blown modified racing after that. We never looked back. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great, man.
It was great.
Can I just wanted to ask about the epic season with you and Brian, right? And like you guys have this core friendship, right? You and Brian and Mikey Jr. and Corey have been tight for a long time.
Big time.
Yeah, and so now you have the two of you guys, and like you guys had the attention of
Everyone.
Stafford that year. I mean, you guys battling was epic. I can tell you that was 2018.
Yeah.
So I did the on-board series up there that year, and we were. It was I've told these guys this story. It was the 2-day finale, and you guys were like the main event of the last race. And I was done for the day.
That was on Saturday, right?
It was Saturday, right? And I was whatever I was filming, I was doing on Sunday, and I was like fixing to leave, and I'm like, I think I probably want to check this out.
Yeah.
And that was an epic battle. Just kind of talk about that season battling with Brian.
So that whole season with Brian, it was purely like racing go-karts. We just both had great cars.
Yeah.
Like, we honestly were able to do shit with our cars that no one else could do. Like, we were driving it in 3-4 car lengths deeper than anybody. Just like, if we started us back like 15th and 20th, it was like free lunch. We'd drive through the field, and it was awesome because like it was a battle to who was going to get to the front first.
Right.
Yeah.
And I knew at the end of the day, like, you know, we had Andrew at the time, and we had what's his name? It'll come to me when we get going. But we had a couple like decent guys once we got going. It was just mainly me and him, and maybe we had a couple different guys mixing it up. But like we were main battles at the end of the day were like between me and him.
No doubt.
100%.
It was awesome. Like we were just driving the shit out of our cars. We were having like a complete ball. Like we weren't even like chalking it up to be like, you know, legitimate racing at that point because we were just having so much fun. Like and we'd gouge each other up, bust each other out of the way. It was good racing in our eyes, but like that kind of like spilt some blood between my father and him because like how he raced me and how I raced him were like we had.
So yeah, did it start to affect your relationship at all during the season?
Not until the last race.
Oh, it was great all year until the last race.
It was. I probably, in all honesty, probably could have won probably another 4 races to finish out the year. I broke a tranny one night, running second to Moeller. Then week after that, I got free. Me and Mark got into it, and he sent me to Tolland, and I drove from 6th all the way back up to 2nd, and was going to pass Andrew for the lead, and then I overdrove it.
Yeah.
No, I overdrove it trying to get to Hodgkin, actually, and Brian was behind me. He sunk it 3 wide and doored me, and that was another race I lost. And I think the last one was fall final. I think that haunts me. That race haunts me because that race could have gone so different had it not been for the top being sprayed, because the top was just killer that day. I mean, when I tell you, like,
This is the main event.
the main event,
Yeah.
like the top was like, you know, you'd either get bogged up down on the bottom or you get a slug that was on the top, and he would sink back the road 2 or 3 rows. So it was like we were.
Yeah, but
literally,
back then the top row sucked at Stafford.
it,
Right.
it
It was
did.
the big talk. Like
Yeah.
it was only one groove. I remember that.
So for the lights, it's actually pretty good. I will say, when you were in the light, you could pretty much put the car anywhere as long as your shit was good.
Yeah.
You could run the top, you could run the bottom. I mean, like the stuff was, if your car was hooked up, you could do it all.
Right.
But if you know, you get in the SK, like I actually ran the SK race before that, and you actually were able to get up into that sticky shit, and you'd actually make it work. Actually, Michael won the race just moving up half a groove, and he just waxed ass, and then I ended up getting a flat. Because me and him were actually rolling the top around. I was just about to pass Keith, and then I smacked the right rear with the wall, and then the tire went down. And then the rest is history on that. They actually wrecked it that night too. Went home with 2 smashed up cars. One was like KO'd.
Yeah, the SK Light was
That was brutal. That was vicious.
brutal.
That was probably the hardest hit I ever had there. And that was with the guardrail. And I mean, when I tell you get out of the car, I was like dazed and confused.
Yeah.
Talk about like when I got out of the car, the first thing I asked, like, did I win? I went over to Mark, and he's looking at me like I'm a ghost. I'm like, did I win? Did I get the championship? And then I see Brian's over there wrecked too. So I'm like, whoever got the last lap at that point.
Right.
So
So that race right there, it turned into some. What actually happened?
So whoever you ask, you're gonna get 2 different stories. But my point of view, I was waiting for the lane to open up because I think it was Prucker and Pearl, and then me third, and then Brian was either gonna start next to me or start 2 rows behind me, depending on how the restarts went. That restart, he started 4th, and he was outside of me, and he and Alexander just rolled the top, and I got stuck behind Prucker, and by the time we actually got singled out, I was actually able to pass him, and then I finally got to Brian, and it was going to be pretty tough to get by him because he's going to do whatever he's got to do.
Right.
And same thing with me, and we actually got another caution, so I was second at that time, so I started on the top. He missed the shift, I got the lead, and then we had another restart, and he started on top of me, so he rolled top. No, I fucked that up. I was actually second. I think he ended up rolling even with me, and then got to my door, and then just, you know, gave me a hip check coming out of 2. I pounded the wall, and I came back down the track. I had no control of the car at that point. Right front went flat. We were both going in.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember. I told Sid. I remember watching that. I forgot. we were either watching my laps because I think the World Series was that weekend. Something was going on at at Thompson, wasn't there?
I don't think so.
Yeah, there was something.
It would be a very strange time for those two tracks to have the same event.
They did though. We were.
You sure it wasn't something at the bowl?
No, it was Thompson, because we were all in the trailer watching the race monitor or my laps or something back then, watching your guys race.
Yeah,
because it was that much of a must see event. I didn't even go
for the whole week.
That was pre-flow, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Flow was after the pandemic.
Yeah.
This was 2018.
That was Stafford TV at that point. I think it was Stafford TV.
No, they weren't doing anything. They were no streaming.
That was even 2 years before Stafford TV, I think.
Nothing.
Stafford TV was the pandemic.
I think they just recorded the races.
Yeah, and then they would show
see it
like
on
the
YouTube.
Yeah, the last lap of each race on
right.
YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.